Hare Krishna, everyone. My name is Patita Pavana Balram Das. I am from the Bhakti Vriksha team. We are in the Bhagavad Gita 18 chapter, 18-day program. Uh, we completed until 6 chapters. Now we are starting with chapter 7. Anybody joining first time today? Okay, great. We'll get started. Can everyone see my screen? Can you see my screen? Can someone confirm?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, great. So we are in the Bhagavad Gita essence, means the Gita Gyan. We are not going through the detail of Bhagavad Gita. So since this program is to invoke the interest of all the people, devotees who joined, to take them further and make sure that everyone takes this as a habit to read Bhagavad Gita, we are doing this program. We'll be
No, Vita,
going.
just go. Go.
We'll be going through the essence of the high-level points about each chapter in Bhagavad Gita. And before we discuss about anything spiritual topics, we will say a few prayers. Since you are all already doing it from the last 6 classes, and then you can see it on the screen, we will say it slowly together. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
Hare Hare.
Sorry, I got some sore throat, so please bear with me. So we are dedicating this program to His Divine Grace Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. He is the founder Acharya of ISKCON, ISKCON, which is International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We are inspired to do this program by His Holiness Devpataka Swami. He is a senior member of ISKCON and a disciple of Srila Prabhupada. So we are doing this program by reading the Gita Mahatmya, means the glories of Bhagavad Gita written by Adi Shankaracharya. Uh, we are in the 7th one. Anyone wants to read the verse and translation?
एकं शास्त्रं देवकीपुत्रगीतम् एको देवो देवकीपुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नमानि यानि कर्मपि एकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा. There need be only one holy scripture, the divine Gita sung by Lord Sri Krishna, only one worshipable Lord, Lord Sri Krishna, only one mantra, his holy names, and only one duty, devotional service unto that supreme worshipable Lord Sri Krishna. Hare.
Jai, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So now I think people are looking for, is there one book where I can get the essence of everything? right? If that is the question, if somebody is looking for one book that contains all of the knowledge in this world, not just this world, all of the whole entire knowledge of the spiritual world, material world, everything, Shankaracharya says that yes, there is one book, and that one book is the Bhagavad Gita. So that's why if you read Bhagavad Gita and you completely understand Bhagavad Gita, you understand everything because it is spoken by Krishna himself. Dharmantu Sakshat Bhagavad Pranita means Dharma is given by Krishna, the Supreme Lord himself. And here Krishna is telling that this is the Dharma in Bhagavad Gita. So which means that it is the essence of everything. And if and the holy name, if we want one mantra, we can take the holy name of Krishna, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. With that one mantra, we can cross this material world very easily. So we'll do a quick recap after chapter 6, what we discussed last Wednesday. It was broken into 4 sections. The first for 9 verses is dealing about mind, which is required. We need to keep our mind in control for us to uh, help acquire this knowledge and understand the knowledge, and we dedicate everything in the process of acquiring knowledge. And the next verses is about Ashtanga Yoga. Then what happens if a yogi, who is doing this process of yoga, fails in between, and then who is a topmost yogi? So how we can control the mind? If we can control the mind, what happens? It becomes our best friend. But if we cannot control the mind, it becomes our greatest enemy. So the main thing is we need to make sure that we have to control the mind. And how can we control? What are the 2 things that Krishna has said? Anyone remembers? Abhyasa and Vairagya. Abhyasa means
Practice
practice, and Vairagya means
dispassion or detachment.
detachment. Yeah. So we have to keep these 2 things. Even if we are learning a sport and if we want to become an expert in that, we have to keep on practicing, practicing, practicing. Without practice, nothing is possible. And at the same time, we have to detach from the other things that will divert us from the path. And the Ashtanga Yoga process is we have to go to a secluded place, lay kusha grass, sit on top of with a deer skin and a soft cloth, and close our eyes half closed and point at the tip of the nose, look at the tip of the nose, and then also focus completely on one point, which is the Paramatma within the heart. And what if somebody fails in the process? No problem. It is if they fail if they do yoga for a short period of time, they will be born in Suchinam Srimatam, either in a Brahmana family or a righteous family, and then or in a rich family. But if someone does this process for a long time and then is still unsuccessful, no problem. They will start from the same place by taking birth in a devotee family, which Krishna says is very rare to achieve. And of all the yogis, a yogi who constantly thinks of Krishna within his heart, who has complete faith in him, and renders loving service to him, he is the most intimately united with him in yoga, and he is the highest of all yogis. So now Krishna continues this in terms of giving the knowledge about the Absolute. Who is that person who we need to perform the service towards or keep within the heart, which is himself? So he is going to tell about that knowledge about the Absolute. So far we have dealt with the Sankhya knowledge, which is the body, soul, and the 5 topics in Bhagavad Gita are Jiva. Anyone wants to say what are the 5 topics? Jivatma, Prakriti,
Karma,
Karma,
Kala,
Kala, and
Ishvara.
Ishvara. Ishvara, right? The Supreme Lord.
Yeah.
So someone who is above this material world, who is beyond this material world and time, who is controlling everything. Ishvara means someone who controls, the supreme controller. Parameshwara. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha. Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana means Krishna is the Parama Ishvara. And now these next few chapters will deal with that Parameshwara Krishna, the knowledge about him. So we'll start. Krishna is saying, if you notice here, the whole of Bhagavad Gita, it doesn't, when Arjuna is speaking, it says Arjuna Uvacha. Uvacha means spoke. But when Krishna is speaking, it says Shri Bhagavan Vacha, means we have to understand that it is Krishna speaking on as Bhagavan himself. Vadanti tat tattvavedastatvam yat gnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shabdyate, which is said in Bhagavatam, which means that the absolute truth can be realized in three ways. One is the impersonal truth. Second one is the Paramatma seated within the heart of every living entity. And the third and the final category is Bhagavan himself, who is the Sachitananda Vigraha. He is the form of pure bliss. So we see everything in this material world, correct? We see a building, we see a house, we see a person, we see ourselves, everything. Everything in this world is, we can come for sure know that it is not permanent. You see a building, after many years, that building is no longer there. It comes down to the ground by itself, or someone demolishes it. If you see a tree also, after a few years, maybe some trees lives for a longer time. After thousands of years, the tree also dies, falls down. Similarly, there are so many people who we see, uh, and they also are not there permanently. So what we understand is whatever we are seeing is not permanent. And we come to the understanding that, okay, anything that whatever we see has a form. So anything that we see has a form is impermanent. That is what mind has been accustomed to from millions and millions of lives. So if we see a form, mind immediately knows this is impermanent. Means this is not permanent. Then what for the initial understanding for them is okay. Then the initial people will think God might be somebody who doesn't have a form, because whatever I see in this material world has a form and is not permanent. But I know God is great and God is permanent. So maybe that's why God doesn't have a form. That is what the basic understanding. Like you go from kindergarten to first grade, second grade, like that. That's the first understanding. Logically, things make sense because you are thinking whatever in this world is is impermanent. It has a form. So maybe God is permanent. So God might not have a form. That is only the first level of understanding, which is not false. That it is also, it is called the Brahman realization. That is the first level. The next level of realization comes when which we have dealt with in chapter 5 and 6, which is the Paramatma realization. Means the Supreme Lord is residing in everyone's heart. It is two souls that are present in everyone's heart, which is the individual soul, Anu Atma, and the Supreme Soul, Paramatma, or the Vibhu Atma, means the infinite Super Soul. And that soul has the Narayana form. And that's what the Yoginam Api Sarvesham 6.47 says, that the yogis meditate on that form to get out of this material world. And the third and the ultimate realization comes when we understand that the Supreme Lord, Krishna, is the Sachidananda Vigraha. He is the Tribhanga form. He has the form of what we see as Krishna. So that realization will come after many, many lives, that we will see in this later chapter why they say that. Okay. For now, we'll start with that gradual understanding by starting what Krishna is saying. Sri Bhagavan Vacha
श्रीभगवानुवाच
Maya Sakta Manapartha
मय्या
मया
असक्तं
सक्तमनापार्थ
मना पार्थ
Yogam Yunjam Madashrayaha
योगं
योगं युञ्जं
युञ्जन्मदाश्रयः
मदाश्रया
Asamshayam Samagram Mam
असंशयं
असंशयं
समग्रं
समग्रं
मां
मां
Yata Gnasiyasi Tachrunu.
यदा
यदा
ज्ञास्यसि
ज्ञास्यसि
तच्छृणु.
तच्छृणु.
Anyone wants to read the purport?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Now hear, O son of
पार्थ
Partha, how by practicing yoga in, in full consciousness of me with the mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Free from doubt.
Jay, thank you. So yeah, the translation, I did not mean purport. So what Krishna is saying is, okay, Arjuna, this is Pruta. Pruta means son of, he's son of Pruta means Partha. Partha is called son of Pruta. Pruta means she is Kunti Devi. So that's why Arjuna is called Partha. What Krishna is saying is, Now here, O Arjuna, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, you can understand me in full. So now, if we do that focus on Krishna, then we can understand him. That transcendental knowledge Krishna is going to give us. Manushyanam sahasreshu
Manushyanam sahasreshu
kaschid yatati siddhaye
Kaschid
kaschid
yatati
yatati
siddhaye
siddhaye
yatatam api siddhanam
yatatamati
yatatamati
siddhanam
siddhanam
kaschin mam veti tattvataha.
kaschid
kaschid
mam
mam
veti
veti
tattvataha.
tattvataha.
Anyone wants to read the purport? Oh, sorry,
Out of
translation.
many thousands among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly knows me in truth.
One knows me in truth. Yeah. So we'll take turns. So we'll take anyone who read, give like 2 seconds. If someone wants to read, if nobody reads, then you can take read again. Okay. So what Krishna is saying is, out of see how many thousands of out of thousands and thousands of people, only one person endeavors on the path of perfection, means takes the path of self-realization. And later in this chapter, he will say, out of all those people who took that path, only one comes to that Bhagavan realization. So what we have to understand is all the people or the adults, yeah, kids, you are all in this class. It is you understand that out of so many people who were who thousands of people, you took this path, which is the path of self-realization. You had that inquisitiveness, so that means that you are blessed. It's not possible. We'll see who only can take that path. Mattah parataram nanyat
Parataram nanyat
kinchidasti dhananjaya
kinchidasti dhananjaya
Dhananjaya
mai sarvam idam protam
mayi
mani
sarvam idam
sarvam
protam
idam protam
sutre manigana iva.
sutre
sutre
manigana
manigana
iva.
eva.
Translation, anyone?
O conqueror uh, of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread.
Jai, thank you. So before these two verses, we read 7.3 and 7.7, right? In between, Krishna says there are three energies of mind. One is the material energy, one is the marginal potency, and third one is the spiritual energy. So this material world it is his external energy. We living entities are the marginal potency. And the third energy is his divine energy, which is the spiritual energy or the Yogamaya. So Mahamaya, Yogamaya, and we are the Jivatmas. So we are in the marginal potency, which means that we can be either in the spiritual world or in the material world. When the whole creation happened, it is mentioned that 3/4 of the living entities appeared in the spiritual world, 1/4 of the living entities appeared in the material world. So all the people we see in this, not just this Earth, any planet in this whole universe, there are millions of universes like that. They only constitute to 1/4 of the living entities. 3/4 of the living entities have always been in the spiritual world. So, and Krishna is giving us the opportunity to go back. And what Krishna is saying is, all this entire thing, the spiritual world and the material world, are resting on Him only. Just if you see the pearl necklace, you see as if the pearls are hanging in here. How are the pearls hanging in here, like with attaching to each other? Is there gum attached to it?
With the help of a thread.
Yes. So underlying there is a thread, but we cannot see the thread. And if someone who doesn't know this who says, hey, they'll be wondered, how is this one bead not falling down and attaching? But there is a thread. So same thing, this whole spiritual and material world have been here, and they are all being uh, held by the Supreme Lord. There was a nice story like where you see a lot of when we say science, right? We tend to think that science means that it is about atheism. No, it is the modern world that is trying to do that. Science, there are so many scientists who are actually believers of God. All the theories that you see, Newton and they came up, they believe in God. So Newton, one of the thing he said is, towards the end of the life, he said, I have come up with so many theories, but you have to understand that all these theories are nothing in front of God. It is God that He is doing. But we only learn about the things that are about His theories, but we don't learn about the philosophical side of the scientists. So all the scientists who put forward, I think most of them are believers in God also. And but there are some scientists who don't believe in God. One day, what happened is at the time of Newton, there was another scientist who was an atheist, and there was an argument. Newton says that there is gravity and that is holding things together, and the other scientist says that no, everything is random. That's all. And then Newton wanted to prove that the point, so he invites all to his house for a party, and he creates a model of the solar system with so much effort. He creates that model and puts it in the hall whenever people enter. So this other scientist who was an atheist, he comes and sees. He was spellbound with the effort, with how it was created, and it was actually rotating, like it was moving in the same format as what we would see. Then he went to Newton and said, "How much time it took for you to create, and how were you able to get them to move so nicely?" He says, "Oh, they were all randomly moving by themselves. Nobody put them like that." Then the atheist says, "No, how that is impossible. Things cannot move randomly by themselves like that in an order." So then Newton says, "See, if it is random, how are things in this world so much in orderly? So if there is in order, things are going in order, which means that there is someone controlling that. So if you think even if you are doing in your activity, right, if you leave everything by itself, they go haywire. But only if you want to keep them in control, you have someone has to keep them in order. So in this world also, the earth, the sun, these all planets and all are not just moving randomly by themselves. It is a higher order that is controlling it, and we see that in chapter 2, when this material world was created, the Supreme Lord also created these many demigods to make sure that the whole material world functions, as per order. So everything is resting on Krishna only. So now he goes into more detail. The two types of energies he mentioned, he is going to explain those. Daivi Hesha Gunamayi
दैवी येषा
Hesa Gunamayi
गुणमयी
Mama Maya Duratyaya
मम
Mama Maya
माधुर्यया
Duratyaya
Mameva Ye Prapadyante
मामेव ये
Mamevai
प्रपद्यन्ते
Prapadyante
Maya Metam Tarantite.
मायामेतां
Mayamitam
तरन्ति ते
Taranti.
Whoever did not get a chance to read wants to read the translation. Yeah,
This
then someone can read again. Yeah, go ahead, Mata.
This divine energy of mine, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome. But those who have surrendered unto me can easily cross beyond it.
So now Krishna is saying about his Gunamaya, Daivi Hesham Gunamaya means uh, the divine energy of his, which is he's referring to the material energy, the three modes, mode of goodness, passion, ignorance. They are the ones that are controlling, and that is very, very difficult to overcome. And what he says is, if we want to overcome that energy and get out of this material world, we have to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. If we surrender unto Him, then it is very easy to cross. It is in Bhagavatam, the material world is compared to a ocean. In the ocean, we are all trying to keep afloat, not from sinking, constantly paddling. That's a huge ocean, and imagine how can you cross an ocean? Even a great swimmer, if he falls into an ocean, their chance of survival is zero because you cannot keep swimming. Um, you can only swim for maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes max. Some people might swim for 1 hour, but that's it. But if you are in an ocean, nobody can survive. But if there is a boat that comes, they can get rescued. So that boat that can will come if we surrender to Krishna. It is his lotus feet. It is compared to a boat that comes. And also, if we surrender to Krishna, the whole material world, which is like an ocean, will become as small as the water that is collected in a footprint created by a calf. You know, a calf, the baby cow, when it is walking in muddy water, it creates a small impression on the mud, right? And when water accumulates there, how small it is. For devotees, it is mentioned that the whole material ocean will be as small that they can easily cross beyond it. So who are these people who doesn't want to take this Krishna consciousness? Bhagavad Gita is complete knowledge. It gives all. So some people. So you came to this Bhagavad Gita class. Some people did not, right? Um, why some people turn towards God and some people don't turn towards God is Krishna is saying, Namam dushkritino muda
Namam dushkritin muda
Dushkriti Muda
prapadyante naradama
prapadyante
Prapatyanti Naradama
mayaya pahrita gnana
Maya Prahata Jnana
asuram bhavam ashritaha.
bhavam
Asuram Bhavam Asritaha.
Translation, anyone?
Those miscreants who are grossly foolish, who are lowest among mankind, whose knowledge is stolen by illusion, and who partake of the atheistic nature of demons do not surrender unto me.
So Krishna is saying, poor people will not come towards the Supreme Lord. They will not take the path of self-realization. Who are those? First one is we'll start. Asuram Bhava Ashram means the atheist. The atheistic people who are demoniac and the people who have demonic mentality, who wants to cause suffering to others. They don't believe in God. They don't come towards the God. The next category is the grossly foolish. Foolish means they know that they don't know what the real purpose of human form of life is. They are very much without lack of any knowledge, and they get carried away with what people tell to them, and that's why they don't know the purpose and they don't come. They are called Muda. The next category is Naradama. Naradama is the category which they say that okay, this human form of life is meant for self-realization, but I still don't want to take it. So those are called the lowest of mankind because they know that the human form of life is supposed to used for self-realization, but still they don't want to take any of that actions. And the another category is called the Maya Pahrita Gnana. Means Prabhupada in his purport says that 95% or 99% of these people in the world are in this category where our knowledge or intelligence is stolen by Maya. So just like the three modes of material nature, Maya has captured our intelligence, and we think that the whole purpose is to eat, sleep, and be merry, right? So eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So since that we are in our Maya is captured, we are why it says captured means we are in a lullaby. It is giving us a lullaby. As when you make a baby sleep, the baby will be happily sleeping in that cradle, right? Same thing. We are happily sleeping in this cradle of Maya and not waking up. We see so many things going around us and all. We don't question that. Why am I having this suffering? That why am I having to go through this? When we still think that this is my happy life. I have to work. I have to um, earn money, and I have to raise the kids. They think whatever the society is doing is what they think is supposed to happen, and so that's why they don't know the real purpose. But there are four kinds of people who approach the Supreme Lord. Who are they? Chaturvida bhajante mam,
chaturvida
चतुर्विधा भजन्ते
Bhajante
माम्
Mam
jana sukritano arjuna,
जना
Jana Sukrit
सुकृत्नो अर्जुन
Arjuna
arto jignasur artharti,
आर्तो
Arjuna
जिज्ञासुर
Asur
अर्थार्थी
Athati
gnani cha bhartarshaba.
ज्ञानी च
Jnanavattar
भरतर्षभा.
Sabha.
Anyone wants to read the translation?
O best among the
Go ahead. Yeah, whoever read can go ahead.
O best among the Bharatas, four kinds of pious men began to render devotional service unto me: the distressed, the desire of wealth, and the inquisitive, and he who is searching for the knowledge of absolute.
Jai, thank you. So, who are those four people? Who are first one category is distressed. Artho means somebody who has distress. Then whoever is, even though they are distressed, they think that there is a supreme Lord and they can help them. They turn towards the God. And the example is Gajendra Moksha, right? So Gajendra did not call, oh Krishna, come, oh Narayana, come. He was, how would an animal know all those things? But of course, he is a king in the previous life. But when he went into the water to drink water, a crocodile catches his foot, one of his legs, and then he tries to get away. But since the crocodile is very strong in the water, his the elephant, his name is Gajendra, could not get out. His friends and family, everyone tries to pull him out. They cannot do that. That struggle goes and on and on, and he loses all his energy. And then finally he says, my plight in this plight can be only solved. My suffering can only be solved by that person who has created this whole world and who is everybody is under his control. And I request that person, please. And he does what is called the it's the whole Gajendra Moksha story. And he offers prayers to that Lord without even naming him. And he says, "Oh Lord, who is the supreme of all? Because I have been suffering for many years. If somebody is in this material world who is powerful, they might have come and rescued. Nobody came. But so I'm asking you, who is the topmost of everyone? Everyone is under his control? You come and please." And then he does a long prayer. And finally, he completes the prayer. And within moments, he says, "Oh, the Supreme Lord, who can you? I want requesting you, the Supreme Lord, come." Then who comes? The devatas cannot come because they know that he did not call them. And as soon as he hears the prayer, Hari, who is Vishnu, who is Krishna, he jumps on his Garuda. Without a second, he comes flying and then he takes his Sudarshan Chakra and cuts off the head of the crocodile and saves Gajendra. See, anyone who is in distress, if they sincerely call the Supreme Lord, the Lord will be there. The next category is desire of wealth. Someone who wants economic development, who wants some money, who wants some whatever, uh, wealth, those things similar to suffering. But after even if their suffering is not there, if they want success, if they want money or material desires, they will also go to God. And we all have been in that category also, right? So where we go to God, temple, and say, please, God, give me this, give me that, give me that, give me that. Yeah, what Krishna is saying is that's not wrong. As long as you come towards the Supreme Lord, that is good. And the third category is the inquisitive. Means, okay, people are above this, which they don't have much distresses, they don't really have much desires to go and request God for they can, but they want to understand what is this material world, why we are here. They have so many questions. Why is there so much suffering in this world? Why are people fighting? Why so many religions? They want answers. They are very inquisitive. And they also turn towards the Supreme Lord looking for answers. And those are the different yogis and jnana yogis and all we read. Finally, there is one category who know that there is the Supreme Lord and they want to understand more about the Supreme Lord. And that category, Krishna says in the next verse, is the best because if somebody is in distress and if their distress is not gone, their problems were not solved, there is high chance that they might again turn away from God. If somebody is in looking for economic development and for whatever reason their prayers may not be sincere and also they did not get the economic development because in this material world everything is shared and whoever deserves will only get it, they might also turn away from God. And somebody who is inquisitive, they could be captured by Maya in a manner that they make up their own theories, make speculation. So there is also chance. But whoever is a gnani, who knows that there is this absolute truth, and I want to know about him, they will never leave the Supreme Lord. So we all should come to that category. whatever be the reason we joined this class or we took up the Krishna consciousness, there could be some challenges in our life or in work. We want to solve them. Whether it's solved or not, we should understand that the real purpose is to know about the Supreme Lord. If we want economic development, uh, yeah, don't keep on asking. If you ask some desire, put a limit. So you yourself should have a goal. Don't say like, okay, I ask something to God, it gets solved, then I will ask some more. Come with all the list of items you want, put it in front of God, and but do one thing. If all these things are done, I will take up my Krishna consciousness very seriously in my life. Those are some of the things we can do. That way, we can keep the effect of Maya less on us. Because if we don't take that commitment, right? What happens? We ask something that comes. We ask for a Tesla car comes. Then we ask for a nice house, that house comes. Then we ask for a bigger house. Then we want to take a promotion. Where does it end? So it doesn't end. We have to keep a limit on the things that we want, and then at one point we have to turn towards that gnana, means knowledge. And inquisitiveness we read in chapter 4, right? Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te gnanam tat Jnananas Tattva Darshanaha. If we want all answers, we have to approach a bona fide spiritual master. A bona fide spiritual master is one who is in the disciplic succession. Now Krishna is saying that he said in the previous verse, after thousands and thousands of people, only 1% take to the path of self-realization, right? But even after the people who have taken the path of self-realization, only one will come to one understanding. What is that understanding? Bahunam janmanam
Bahonam Janmamam Ante
ज्ञानवान् मां प्रपद्यते
Gnanavan mam
Mam
prapadyante
Prabhatyate
वासुदेव सर्वमिति
Vasudeva
Vasudeva
sarvamiti
Sarvamiti
समहात्मा सुदुर्लभः.
Samahatma sudurlabaha.
Samahasudurlabaha.
Anyone wants to read the translation?
After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare.
So what Krishna is saying is, after many births only will a person come to understand that Vasudeva Sarvam iti. That Vasudeva, Krishna, is the ultimate. Everything comes from him only. There is nothing beyond Vasudeva. It is said that in Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachitananda Vigraha Anadir Adir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana, means that Govinda is Anadi, there is nobody before him. He is Adi, means he is the first one, everything came from him. Sarva Karana Karana, cause of all causes, means there is no cause beyond him. So there, if and after thousands and thousands of people who are there, only one takes self-realization, and after the people who take after many births, that person will come to the knowledge that Krishna is the ultimate, and they surrender to him. That soul is called Mahatma. So there might be the question, right? So who people might ask the same question, like there are so many yoga processes. Why I should have to surrender to Krishna? Or even somebody people coming to Krishna consciousness, they surrender to Krishna. Why are they not doing other yoga processes? And there was one, we were doing some programs, and one student from one university, he came and he attended all the classes, and he said, the class that was going on, and he said, Prabhu, I have been doing this Ashtanga yoga from my childhood, and I can say that from all my practice, that Krishna is the ultimate. And but what he had a question, but I had did this so many years. From he was around 25 or years, so I have did this for like 15 years or 16 years. Now I came to the understanding. But how you guys are doing this? Are you blindly putting that faith? Are you just thinking that Krishna is ultimate? But you guys don't seem to be having that blind faith, because you seem to be very convinced. How is it possible? Then the answer is very simple. We tend to look at only one lifetime. We basically are trained by this modern society that there is only life, enjoy life to the fullest. After this life ends, there is nothing. But the core philosophy of Eastern schools of thought is reincarnation. Life goes on and on. The soul always strives to better itself. And we know that somebody who comes to Bhakti Yoga has already surpassed all the other yogas. So the question we asked at the time was, okay, how can this is the same verse. Bahunam janmanamante gnanaman prapanda means we already practiced all those yoga processes in the past and then realized that okay, so those are not working, and Bhakti Yoga is the one that we really want, and that's why we surrender to Vasudeva, and that's where the conviction comes. Um, but we might not have remembered that. The idea is we went from kindergarten to first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, and we are in the 10th grade. When we come to the 10th grade, uh, we already crossed the previous grades, but does it mean that we remembered everything that we studied in grade 1, 2, 3, 4 like that? We understood the essence of what was taught and we passed that and we came to 10th grade. But if we tell the poem about daffodils that was written by that person Keats or someone, so we don't remember that. But when we were young in the third grade, when we read that poem, we can easily recite it, right? So that means that if we came to this life and now we are in this process where we are taking this Bhagavad Gita class or we are surrendering to Krishna and we are taking this step towards Krishna consciousness, we don't have to worry about, hey, I did not do Ashtanga Yoga, I did not do Gnana Yoga, I did not do Karma Yoga. No, the fact that Krishna brought you here to to the doorstep of Bhakti Yoga means in all the previous lifetimes, we went all those things. We don't have to go back and sit in third grade, fourth grade because I did not remember what I read in the Daffodils poem. So we don't have to do that. So that's the understanding we need to come to. So many lifetimes have passed and we have tried all those things. We found out they are not working. And that's why in this lifetime we are continuing that Krishna consciousness. And then Krishna goes on to say why some people don't surrender to Supreme Lord. Some people go and approach the demigods. We discussed in the chapter 2, right? People do approach the demigods because they get quicker results. And Krishna is saying that what is um, the thought process. Anyone can read or maybe I will read. Kamaistair hritagnaanaha
कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृतज्ञानः
प्रपद्यन्ते अन्यदेवताः
प्रपद्यन्ते अन्यदेवताः
तं तं नियमम् आस्थाय
तं तं नियमम् आस्थाय
प्राकृत्य नियता स्वया
प्राकृत्य नियता स्वया
यो यो यां तनुं भक्ता
यो यो यां तनुं भक्ता
श्रद्धयार्चितुम् इच्छति
श्रद्धयार्चितुम् इच्छति
तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धां
तस्य तस्याचलां श्रद्धां
ताम् एव विददाम्यहम्.
ताम् एव विददाम्यहम्.
Anyone can read this and this.
Those
Translate.
whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity.
Yeah. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas
सतया श्रद्धया युक्तः
Tasya Ihate
तस्याराधनं यते
Labate cha tatah kaman
लभते च ततः कामान्
Mayaiva Vihitan Hitan
मयैव विहितान् हितान्
Antavantu Palam Tesham
Antavattu phalam tesham
tad bhakti alpamedasam
tad bhavati alpamedhasam
devan devayajo yanti
devan devayajo yanti
mad bhakta yanti mamapi.
madbhakta yanti mamapi.
Can someone read these two translations also?
Endowed with such a fate, he endows to worship a particular demigod and obtains his desires. But in actuality, these benefits are bestowed by me alone. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. But those who worship the demigods go to planets of the demigods. But my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet.
Jai, thank you. So what we can understand, Krishna is saying that those whose intelligence is stolen by material desires. If someone is coming to Krishna consciousness, if someone is surrendering to Krishna, which means that Krishna will give them the ultimate benefit, which is getting away from the material world. But someone, if they doesn't want to get out of the material world, what they will do, they will go for other demigods. Whoever can give them wealth, who can give them knowledge, who can give them courage, and all those things. So they surrender onto him. And they follow the particular rules and regulations that are prescribed for that worship. And since Krishna is in everyone's heart, just like we discussed, right, in the previous chapter, it is our desires that start. Based on our desires, Krishna grants and material world executes. So since our desire is to get more knowledge, desire is to get more courage, desire is to get more wealth, desire is to get a nice wife, nice husband, or desire is to get more better education, desire to get nice job, all those come under material categories, desire categories. So Krishna will take us to the particular, if we to a demigod, and he will establish our faith on the demigod. And ultimately, even if the demigod is granting the wish, because we discussed the example, right? Krishna is the king, and there are so many officers like the ministers, like Krishna, if in a company, the CEO, and then VPs, directors. We can approach the CEO directly, and Krishna, we are always afraid that, oh, will he accept? No, Krishna is the supreme Lord, he will accept. But if we have some desires, and if we think that, okay, let me go to this director, or let me go to this minister in the kingdom, and yeah, they do have powers, so they can fulfill those desires, but ultimately it is granted by the supreme Lord only. And if somebody is intelligent, then they know that, okay, even if those desires are granted, those are temporary. Why should I get those temporary results? Instead, why can't I go and approach the king himself or the CEO, where all my desires will be automatically fulfilled? It is said that um, akama, sakama, yeah, I don't remember the verse, but it's saying that whether you have uh, a desire for sense gratification, or you have a desire for no desires at all, or if you have a desire for moksha, just approach Krishna and he will make sure take care of everything. That will come in the next chapter also, right? So instead of going and not wasting our time, instead of going and spending more lifetimes after lifetimes approaching the demigods and getting for these temporary results, why don't we approach the Supreme Lord and get the ultimate result? And even if we want the ultimate result, it's the other way around also. If we go and approach the demigods and say, I want the ultimate result, which is out of their power, they will help us come to Krishna. So maybe we in the previous lives we have did all those rituals and things for the demigods, and we came to the point that now we want to get away from this material world and want realize absolute truth. And they also might have, with the blessing of Krishna, ultimately that made us come towards this path, which is the Krishna consciousness. We should not stop it here. So then Krishna says that who comes to this path of Krishna consciousness? Esham tva antagatam papam
Esham tva antagatam papam
jananam punya karmanam
Jananam
Jnanam
punyakarmanam
karmanam
te dvandva moha nirmukta
te dvandva moha nirmukta
nirmukta
bhajante mam druda vrutaha.
bhajante
bhajanti
mam
mam drudha
drudavutprataha.
Can someone read the translation?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna
Pers-
Prabhuji.
pers- persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated or freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination.
Jai. So see, people who approach the Supreme Lord Himself have done so many pious activities in their life, and their most of their sinful activities are all eradicated. Papa is gone. Nobody can just approach Krishna like that. The fact that you all here and you are approaching Krishna through Bhagavad Gita means that you eradicated so much of your sinful reactions already with pious activities, and you did so many pious activities also in the past. Now, why not continue on the path instead of going back? So, why I'm telling again and again is you came to the doorstep and you're doing Bhagavad Gita, you have to continue. You have to take this as a commitment. If you're inspired, get the Bhagavad Gita book, read at least 2 pages a day, or 2 verses, or maybe 5 verses, based on whatever you can do. And always keep that as a habit that no matter what, I am going to read Bhagavad Gita today. Or it's easier, like I'm going to read, have dinner only after read 2 pages of Bhagavad Gita. But if we don't eat dinner, we feel very hungry, correct? So if you tie it to some activity that you have to do, then you will do that other activity also. If you do something for 2 weeks, it becomes a habit. If you do it for like 2 or 3 months, it becomes your activity that you cannot live without. So try to do it continuously for 2 weeks, and then you will make it. It becomes a habit. So what you can see is our sinful reactions are whoever took the path approached Krishna, which means that most of their sinful reactions are all eradicated, and they did so many pious activities in their life, and they are free from the delusion of dualities like raga and dvesha. Dualities of delusion means uh, the dvanda moha and nirmukta, means they are not too much attached to material things. At the same time, they are not too much hating the material things also. They are in the balance. That those are the people who can approach the Supreme Lord. And how will they approach the Supreme Lord? With determination, Dhradavrata. We heard about this word Dhradavrata in chapter 2. Who is that? The symptoms of a self-realized person. They are also called Dhradavrata. And those are the people who approach Krishna. And they do it with determination. Okay. So that concludes the chapter 7. Any questions before we close? And I hope everyone got a copy of Bhagavad Gita. If not, please order. And you can do chanting also.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Actually, if one question, Prabhu, you spoke about that 7.23 verse. Antavantu phalam tesham tadbhavayat yalpamedasam devan devayajo yanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. So here, the worshippers of the demigods go to the planets of demigods, but my devotees reach my supreme planet. So here, Devan, actually, the same Devan, that word, is actually appears in 3.11, where Krishna himself says, Devan bhavayata nena, te deva bhavayantuvaha, parasparam bhavayantaha, shreya paramavapsyata. So you worship, let the God, like you worship the demigods, and the demigods do also help you. So you help, you worship them and they help you. Parasparam bhavayanta shreya paramavapsyata. So mutually you worship them and they will also do good to you. So if you take in that way, the deva and the demigods, it is like usually the demigods are like all the elements, 5 elements, Indra, Varuna, Kubera, and all these demigods. But Ganesha actually, it's like you have put Ganesha's picture here. Ganesha, Krishna himself, I don't have the pramana or the actual scriptural sloka to quote here, where Krishna himself actually asked everyone to celebrate and worship Ganesha. So, how do you actually reconcile
Yeah, we have
my
Krishna's picture
explanation with
also
his
here, right?
picture?
So the idea is if we are asking material desires and And yeah, it is Brahma Samhita that says that. It's a Brahma Samhita. It is verse 50. It is Yat Pada Pallava Yugamidaya Kumbha Dvandve Pranama Samaye Saganadi Rajaha Vignan Vihantu Malamasya Jagatrayasya Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Means I am giving Ganesha, who has the ability to remove all the obstacles in the path of progress of both the material and spiritual world. He is getting the power from Govinda himself. So yes, the reason we put the pictures is it is mostly about the bhava in which we approach. If we are approaching with material desires, even like in one, sometimes Prabhupada says that even if you are approaching Vishnu in with the material desires, if the Vishnu is the one who is bestowing all your material desires, then he sometimes called Vishnu also as demigod or devata. So essentially, if we are approaching any person who can give us moksha, then he is the supreme lord. And if they don't have the power, they will take us to the supreme lord. And like the chapter 3 says that, yeah, mutually people praise the demigods and demigods gives them the mercy. And the same thing is mentioned here also, right? Which is the things are temporary and limited. So when we understand that and say that, oh, why am I asking for the temporary things? I want the permanent happiness. Then we approach the Supreme Lord, who is the spiritual planet. The Vishnu Tattvas is what? Anybody, yeah, even some of the pictures here, they are also coming under they are also there in Vaikuntha planets. And when we approach them, it is basically, um, if they have the ability to give moksha, they will give, otherwise they will send us to Vishnu only.
Okay. So it is the object that we worship with, and
Yes.
if you worship, let's say Shiva or Ganesha or the like the Shakta, who is the Devi worshippers, like can be Mata Durga or Saraswati, usually Durga. So if you actually like if the object is actually moksha, then either they will grant it or they will like pass it on to Vishnu or Krishna to grant it.
Yeah. So it is mentioned that of course um, Durga, Parvati, Saraswati, Ganesha, Hanuman, they are in the category of devotees, so they will not grant moksha. Uh, Shiva is in a category where he can grant moksha, but he has the power to grant moksha because Vishnu blesses him. So either, but the challenge with Shiva is he is called Bola Shankar. So there is high chance that if you are approaching Shiva, you can ask for a material desire than a moksha. But the thing is, if you are looking for moksha, a person who can always give is Vishnu only. So yeah, if you are asking moksha for the demigods, they will add you. They will actually send you towards Vishnu only.
Okay. Thank
But
you,
if you are
Prabhuji.
asking for material desires, they will immediately bestow.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. And also in terms of desires, actually. So, I mean, desires actually in the same chapter, I just want to add, Krishna says, Dharma aviruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. So, kama is generally like wrongly interpreted or as, I mean, as a sexual activity, but
Yeah, yeah, no,
kama is actually a desire.
kama is means desire. It's lust or desire. It is not.
Desire.
So that's a great point. So people who are reading Bhagavad Gita, when you come across the word kama, it's not the word that you use in the general sense. Kama in means itself means desire. Nothing wrong in that one. Okay.
So I am the desire which is not dharma viruddho, which is not
Yes.
opposed to dharma or which is keeping in dharma.
Yeah.
So if your any desire is actually based on dharma, then that desire itself is
Is
Krishna. So
Krishna.
you don't
Yes.
need to worry that.
Yeah.
So as long as your desire is in keeping with dharma, then Krishna himself will take care because he
And
himself is that desire.
yeah, and Krishna will also purify our desires. That's the other thing, right? If we approach the demigods, they will immediately grant. But if we go with a desire to Vishnu, he will actually purify that desire also. He will convert it into a way that it will help us in the path of progress of moksha. Okay, any other questions? Great points. Okay, if not, we'll say Hare Krishna Mahamantra 3 times and we'll close today's session. Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare.
Hare Hare.
भगवान श्री कृष्ण परमात्मा की
Hare.
जय, श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, ऑल
Jai.
ग्लोरीज टू कृष्ण, हरे कृष्ण, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू वैष्णव डिवोटीज, हरे कृष्ण, थैंक यू एवरीवन, हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.